Good afternoon, everybody. It's Sunday. It's your friend Rick. It is the 16th day of December 2018. My email is rick, R-I-C-K, 0327 at me.com. If you'd like to send me an email to find out how can you receive the paperwork that I offer. I had a guy, Rob, in Florida, was successful in getting his driver's license back. He took my motion to contest driver's license, and he took the case laws. He took my wording, moved it around a little bit, made it his own, and without spending a nickel, got his driver's license back. His license was suspended for nearly a month. Okay, that's it there, right? On behalf of OBO, right? Motion to contest suspension of driver's. This is for Florida, by the way. Okay, Florida, nothing's easy in Florida. And court to compel Department of Revenue to reinstate respondent's Florida driver's license. Okay, comes now. Rob is the respondent in this matter, requests the court to direct the Department of Revenue Child Support Enforcement to stay any action to suspend his driver's license because of court failure. Okay, and there's some case laws that very key case laws that he cited. Okay. All right, this is the order right here. Okay. It's part of the order anyway. All right. Motion is granted. Okay. So he's a happy guy. Okay, this is also by winning one, he's getting his license back. They're not allowed to suspend your driver's license without a hearing. Okay, they do it all the time, and that's one of the bases that he argued on. Also, they're not allowed to use fines and debts. The only way you can lose a driver's license, the privileges, is unsafe driving. Like, you suffer from seizures. You don't want somebody driving a car or traveling in a car who suffers from seizures, right? That makes sense, correct? So those are like the reasons. Has to be a safety reason, okay? So the Supreme Court stated that driving it's a liberty, okay? Most people require a driver's license to travel back and forth to work. Okay, it's become an acceptable. It's become something that you need to live. Okay, it's a privilege. Okay, that's what they call it. They call it a privilege. So some alleged debt, they just can't suspend your driver's license because of some alleged debt without having a hearing where somebody actually presents evidence that you actually owe a debt. So what they do is they use this as a method. How many how many people I know that reached out to me, and they would tell me, that they were forced to pay X amount of dollars to get their driver's license back. Okay, and they're desperate because you need your driver's license. Also, if your license is suspended, your insurance could be suspended. It's a whole bunch of things that can happen to you. It's not just that you can take a chance and drive around with a suspended driver's license and hope that somebody, a cop doesn't pull you over. The DMV, what they do, then they'll notify your insurance. Then your insurance will suspend your insurance, and then it's another reason to keep your license suspended. It's crazy. Okay. So this is another method they use to basically extort money out of you. Okay. And Rob doesn't have to worry about that anymore. All right. So I like to start off with a positive. Okay, so and by the way, that was I made that specifically for Florida, and I also created one that's for any state. It's basically the same words. Okay, and so anybody you're interested, your driver's license has been suspended or threatened to be suspended. Okay, I have the paperwork. Okay, that's one of the things that I offer. All right, so we're going to talk about demanding proof of a promissory note. Okay, what is a promissory note? Okay, a promissory note is a written promise to pay a debt by a specific date. It can be turned to cash by transferring it to another party. All right, that's the legal definition. Okay, so where did I discover the promissory note? Well, in 42 USC section 666 section 5 section 5H, that's the paternity part. Okay, so they have to establish paternity first. Okay, and they cite a default, right? So I look up default, and default, the definition of default means a failure of a borrower of a loan made under this part, make an installment payment, right? Isn't that what we're doing? Making installment payments when due, or comply with any other term of the promissory note for such loan. So when I saw that, I'm like, nice. So we're going to use their words against them. Well, here's the thing. If you have a promissory note, there has to be some type of terms, right? Because you have to make installment payments. So we need to see these things because you do not want to, fall into default by making a mistake, right? So we're going to be demanding proof of a promissory note, okay? So as I said here, it gives us a clue to holding as borrowers to a loan, right? We're also called a borrower, all right? These are all contractual terms, and they will do anything to deny this. It cracked me the hell up. I remember last year when I was putting together like a validation, a debt letter, and we would go out of our way not to use the, what is it? I always get this thing. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, and we would write it up. We wouldn't even use the phrase, and we'd get a response from the child support agency claiming they don't have to respond because under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, child support is not considered a consumer debt when it is. Okay, it is, and I'm going to prove it. All right. But we wouldn't even use the phrase, and they would say this because they knew about my paperwork. All right, it was getting around, and we would purposely leave the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act out of, and they would still respond with we do not have to respond because under the child support is not a consumer debt, commercial debt. Hilarious, but default in simple terms, we are being accused of willfully not making payments, right? And here's the other thing, you're causing an injury to the United States because this is where the loan's coming from. It's coming from the United States. That's how they're, in my last video, we were talking about the federal non-tax. It's a debt to the United States. All right, it makes sense, right? Out of DC, the Department of Health and Human Services, they send over the money to each state. Okay, under 42 USC section 658A, the incentive payments. That's what this is all about. It's all about federal money. Okay, that's what this is all about. So what they did was they made us a co-signer to a loan. Really, that's what they did. except I don't recall being made a party to a loan. See, you cannot be a consumer or a customer without making an agreement. It's a willful act to be a consumer, to be a customer, right? How you become a customer for Best Buy? You walk into Best Buy, right? You buy a television set. You are now a customer. You don't, the way they make it sound like you're driving away with a television. Like, how'd this television get there? Why am I getting these bills in the mail from Best Buy that I had an 18-month deal with no interest? Why am I getting these bills in the mail? I don't recall sitting down with one of the salespersons and agreeing to if I make all the payments within 18 months, they will not charge me interest. I don't recall doing that. Well, that's what they're doing to us, basically. They're making us basically a co-signer to a loan. All right, and without me looking for it, the Blessing versus Freestone, the case law from the Supreme Court says that it's the money doesn't go to the children, it goes to the state. For what? For recoupment of welfare expenditure. That's what this is all about. And the when the mother or the father applies for welfare, they ask, because they have children, or one child, or many, is the father is supporting the children? And in order for her or him to receive payments, they have to agree to sign over their support rights. So they're making an agreement, and somehow you became a party to that agreement because they're alleging you're not making payments. It's all convoluted, but it's a big scam. Okay, but we know what to do now. We're going to demand to see proof of a promissory note, and all we had to do is say, see, they like to cite 42 U.S.C. Section 666 when they're sending out an income withholding order. Okay, hey, why are you doing that to me? Well, under 42 U.S.C. 666, Section B, right? B3 or B1. I'm just going off of memory, and I'm too lazy to look for it, I'll be honest with you guys, because my computer runs slow whenever I make a video. So they like to cite that, so we're going to cite it. We're going to cite default, all right? Default under Section 5H calls me a borrower of a loan and a promissory note. So we're going to throw that in their face, right? Okay, let's look up what a loan is. A loan under Black's Law Dictionary, the second edition, a loan of money is a contract. Hey, so look, we got a default, means a failure of a borrower, right? You cannot be a borrower unless you are making a knowing, you're knowingly making an act. You're willfully making an act of applying for a loan. Okay, made under this part. Make installments, loan. So look up loan is a contract. Right, we have contractual terms. So right there, loan, contract. Okay, let's move on. All right, so let's look up debtor now. Debtor is defined in Black's Law Dictionary, 9th edition. One who owes an obligation to another. Sounds like a contract to me. An obligation to pay money. How many times where you'll receive the what is it the order for you to appear, the order that you owe child support, and it'll have your name right on the bottom and the petitioner, but you'll be called an obligor. Okay, so they're calling you an obligor. An obligor is a contractual term. Okay, so all of these terms are all contractual terms, but when we demand to see a copy, they start saying, "Oh no, the court order said." Here's the thing: the court order. You know what the court order? The court, see, they're slick. In order for the court to order you to pay support to a child support agency, the child support agency at one time was supposed to present to the court as evidence a copy of the agreement, the loan agreement. Okay? That's how they got the order. Your Honor, so and so stopped making payments to so and so and is in default or contempt, and we're demanding we're demanding, income withholding, we're demanding this, demanding that. And then the judge or fake judge is, okay, but where's the actual order? Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be demanding. So if you're in court saying, you're going to say, well, I was threatened if I don't show up here, I'm going to be in default. In default of what? And then you're going to cite the definition of default that they use. Here's an obligor, just talking about an obligor. A person, right, there we go again, that word, person, who has engaged to perform some obligation, one who makes a bond, right? So it's a promise, right? You're an obligor, you're making a promise, right? Promissory note, so it all makes sense, right? Person, we know what a person is. You're going to cite 28 U.S.C. 3002. That is section 10. Well, that's the section 3002 where the United States is a corporation. And you are a member of that corporation. That's how they get away with it, because that all capital letters name of yours, you are an employee of them or for them, right? But we're not a person. We're a people. We're a man, we're a woman, we're a people. And actually, people is a singular term. It's not, okay, does not mean a group, not plural, it's singular. All right. Also, we have the definition under 42 U.S.C. section 1301A. Person means an individual, a trust, partnership. Look, oh, bond, right? Person who makes a bond, we look up bond, a contract by specialty to pay a certain sum of money, being a deed or instrument under seal. What does that sound like? It sounds like a court order. By which the maker or obligor promises, promissory note, and thereto binds himself or his heirs, right, executors, administrators, to pay a designated sum of money to another. Right, here we go again. Obligation. Okay, you guys can read the rest. All right, here comes bond, continued. The word bond shall embrace every written undertaking. Where have we seen undertaking before, right? I'm the one that introduced you guys to that word last year. For the payment of money or acknowledgement, right? You're acknowledging. That's the reason why when you go to court, you also real fast. Let me get back to that real fast. All right. They eliminated special appearances under federal rules and regulations in most states. Okay. Now we are not. Remember, I showed you guys that we're not under the federal jurisdiction, right? Because we don't reside in that location, right? DC, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Guam, American Samoa. So we're not in the federal location. So the federal rules of evidence don't apply. All right. So you could still make a special appearance. It's still defined in the Black's Law Dictionary. Okay? Technically, though, special appearance was, isn't that hilarious how they removed it under Federal Rules 12B something. Okay, but you could still make special appearance. They acknowledge it. Okay, so long as you're not making a general appearance, you are challenging. And here's another thing that's me aggravated with these people. They're so contemptuous to us when we challenge jurisdiction. When you have no choice, you have to. If you don't challenge jurisdiction, you're accepting jurisdiction. I mean, it's hilarious. It's like because you're catching them at their game and they get mad at us. And they say, well, I have jurisdiction over you. Objection. How? All right? That's another thing, guys. Please, I know you're nervous. Please learn to, yell objection. Please. You have to object. Don't stand there and be a victim. Object. All right? Demanding proof, right? I mentioned all these terms, right? Hold on a second. You need it because without the promissory note, you're going to demand to see it because now they can't use the Treasury offset program. TOP is the centralized offset program administered by the Fiscal Service to collect delinquent debts owed to federal agencies and states by withholding payments owed to debtors by federal agency and states, right? Per 28, we don't care about that. 31 USC 3716, 31 USC 3720. They use that all the time in these income withholding orders. All right? A federal agency that is owed by a person a past due, legally enforceable debt. So, again, we are being showed all of these contractual terms. So you have to demand to see a promissory note. Let's just say you just had your money taken by the income, your income taxes taken. You're going to use that as a reason to send to the child support agent, or even send to the agency that's taking, that I think it's the Department of Treasury, demanding to see a copy of the promissory note, a proof of the debt that you're not aware of. Say, listen, I would love to make a payment of this debt. I just wasn't aware of it. I don't recall making, signing, agreeing to terms. Okay. This is administrative offset. Written notice of a type and amount of the claim. All right. You're allowed to ask for an opportunity to inspect and copy the records. So on 31 USC 3716, you can send this to a child support agency, because if the child support agency is going to send the debt and then they're going to have it seized, your income tax is seized, you have a right to see, inspect the copy of the records. Okay, I have that in the child support agency affidavits that you guys received from me. There's a whole, I have so many of that. I mean, it's amazing. I covered all this stuff. All right. Administrative offset means withholding funds payable by the United States, held the United States person. Blah blah. Non-tax means it's any debt or claim. Oh, it's not a tax. It's not a tax. It's a non-tax debt. Creditor agency means any agency owed a claim that seeks to collect. That's the child support agency. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, 15 U.S. Code 1692, right? All these terms. Consumer is used in 42 U.S.C. 666. So it is a consumer debt. And you could present all these facts to them, to the child support agency. Okay? Also, a promissory note is proof. When you cite default, promissory note and loan, those are commercial debts. Those are consumer debts. Okay. Again, we're talking. We're going over the definitions. Okay, and again, the definition of state means any state, territory, but it's not the 50 states. Okay, it's District of Columbia, Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. Okay, so I just showed you guys that this is another way to challenge the court's um, personal jurisdiction over your body. Where is a proof of the promissory note? Okay, I almost forgot it. All right, congratulations to Rob for getting his driver's license back. All right, that worked in Florida. So if anybody has a suspended license in Florida, okay, and you would like to receive the paperwork, reach out to me. It worked for him. He's a very happy man. I tell you, I got the email yesterday. Oh, he was a very happy man. I never seen so many exclamation points. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye.